Welcome back to our podcast in the book of First Corinthians. We're going to deviate just a bit at the beginning of this podcast from First Corinthians, and I just want to talk to you about the resurrected body of Jesus. The only body that we have ever experienced here on earth that's been resurrected is the body of Jesus. Now, when Lazarus and the other dead were resurrected, they weren't resurrected in a new body. They were resurrected in their old body, and they eventually died. But Jesus, when he rose from the dead, was resurrected in a glorified body. And so for us to understand what our bodies are going to be like in the resurrection, we need to look at the body of Jesus after the resurrection. So let me just give you a few things that you might find interesting. Did you know that Jesus ate food after the resurrection? You say, well, what are you talking about? Well, the book of Luke, chapter 24, verses 42 and 43 says this, and he gave them a piece of broiled fish. And he took and ate it before them. What did Jesus do? What did this resurrected body do? It ate. It ate fish. You know, that's every believer ought to be eating fish. Why? Because Jesus' glorified body ate fish, and he also, in that setting, had some honeycomb. But I want you to understand that this body that Jesus had ate. It enjoyed eating. Wow. What? I thought it was just some metaphysical thing. No, it's actually a physical body. And so Jesus' body was seen. His disciples, who were still in the natural, were seeing a body. They recognized his body. They saw him. They didn't say, oh, it's a ghost. No. They recognized and said, you know, that's Jesus. I can see his beard. I can see his hair. I can see the color of his eyes. They recognized his body. Why? Because his body was a physical, resurrected body. Jesus says to James, he says, touch me. No, excuse me, to Thomas, he says, touch me. Jesus' body could be touched. Jesus' body still showed the scars in the palms of his hand. It still showed the piercing of the sword in his side. But it was real. It wasn't just some figment of the imagination. Jesus walked in all reality here on earth. But yet Jesus' body was different. Because Jesus could just appear without opening a door or a window. The Bible tells us that he appeared to his disciples. The Bible tells us that Jesus, that he in his body ascended into heaven. Now, how many of you know that if I were to get up from this chair and I were to walk past this camera and run into that wall, I am not going to go through that wall. It's going to hurt. Jesus went through walls. He appeared to over 500 people after the resurrection. They knew who he was. So understand this as we go on back to the book of First Corinthians. This body that we are going to take up is going to be physical, but spiritual. Spiritual in its origin, but physical. It's going to be a body in which we can do things. It's going to be a body that we're going to recognize. You know, my wife and I, we have this agreement when we get up to our heavenly home and when we're on the new earth that we're going to have adjoining rooms. You know, Jesus said, I go to prepare a place for you. And he talks about, the King James uses the word mansions. It's actually rooms, and we're going to have adjoining rooms. Why? Because I'm going to recognize my wonderful wife. I'm going to recognize people, and they're going to be in a glorified body. Now, enough said about that. Let's get back to 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, verse number 42. So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown a perishable body, and it's raised imperishable. This body that we're going to have is sown. Our physical body is sown into the ground as something that's perishable, something that is not going to last. But the body that we will receive from God, and we talked about that earlier this week, that body is completely imperishable. What does it mean to be imperishable? Well, it means that it will never perish. It will never get sick. It will never run out of energy. It will never do what we experience in this body. It will never die. It will be a body that we will keep for eternity. So our bodies, our new bodies, are going to be completely imperishable. And then in verse number 43, he says this: it is sown in dishonor. It's placed into the ground in dishonor. It's sown in dishonor. But it's raised in glory. The word dishonor means to be without honor. How many of you know that dead bodies have no honor to them? Now, we treat them with respect, or we should treat them with respect. But our new resurrected bodies are going to be filled with the glory of God. And it's going to be something that's going to be recognized. We talked about the radiance of the sun earlier in this week. Our bodies, it's going to be a tremendous sign of the glory of God in those resurrected bodies. And he goes on and he says, and sown in weakness, but raised in power. The word weakness, it really means to be limited. It means to be sick. It means to be weak. Our bodies, our physical bodies, they are sick. They are limited. They are weak. But our new resurrected bodies are going to be raised in power. What does that mean? Well, it's the Greek word dunamis. The root is. But it means our new bodies are going to be filled with tremendous ability, unlimited ability. Just think about that. Get your hopes up. As a believer, there's only great things in store for you. Think about that today. God bless you.